Tyler,
Hello.
how are you?
I am very good. How are you,
Tyler,
Nate?
I'm good. Thank you so much for coming on What the Hef.
Thanks for having me.
But for those listening, who is Tyler?
Tyler Saunders. I am an adaptive athlete. I'm an online coach. I'm an adaptive fitness consultant as well. I do quite a few things. Wheelchair basketball athlete as well. Can't forget that. But yeah, this is me.
That is you. Okay, so what is your what is it that makes you an adaptive person per se?
Adaptive person. So my story, I was born with one leg, congenital burst defects. Born with my right leg missing from the hip. So from the beginning stages of life, I've had physical mobility impairment and issues. Used to wear a prosthetic leg for most of my early life. And that was mainly just because I didn't know any different. At that time, I wanted to fit in and be normal and like kind of blend in with everyone else. So I wore a prosthetic leg, but it was quite uncomfortable because it would join from the hip. So I don't have a residual limb, as it were. So I haven't got anything above or below knee. Really uncomfortable to wear. But again, just wanting to fit in and be quote unquote normal. Like the leg became part of my identity. Was very self-aware, like self-conscious of like how I walked and how I looked. And in that time, didn't really do sports or fitness as a serious thing. Played a bit of football in school, but arguably wasn't very good. Spent a lot of time in goal, and all those things. Kind of played on my self-conscious, my self-awareness as well.
Mm.
And in time, started to get a little bit more comfortable in myself. You get older, you get a bit more self-aware. Just like stop doing things that are uncomfortable and don't really resonate with you. And wore the leg a little bit less in my kind of 20s. And then got into wheelchair basketball, which then put me on the trajectory I'm on today.
That's amazing.
That was that in a nutshell. I could have gone
Yeah,
a
yeah.
lot longer with
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like I didn't know you when you were doing wheelchair basketball. I met you, I don't know, maybe 5 or so years ago at fitness competitions. Like that's
Yes.
where we kind of first I feel like we just had a vibe. Whenever we saw each other, it was like,
Yeah.
Tyler, you were like, Nay. And like we've never, I don't think we've actually competed together, have
Not
we, in a
together.
team?
We
But
were on
we've been at,
the
like,
same events.
yeah, all
Yeah.
these the same events every time, which is also what I love about the fitness community
Mhm.
and also the London fitness
Yes,
scene. You
definitely.
always see the same people.
If you've been to one, you've been to them all. You see everyone at the same
Yeah,
things. And it was pretty much that. I think my first ever functional fitness event was National Fitness Games. And I think that's where we may have crossed paths.
that is when we first
Yeah.
met.
That was like 2018, I think. So it's
Wait,
longer than 5, 6
was
years.
that the one in the car park at Wembley?
No, this was Loughborough.
Yes,
They
yes,
done
yes,
two at
yes, yes, yes.
Loughborough,
Yeah,
then
okay.
post-lockdown did the one in Wembley car park, which was like the first big event post-lockdown. So everyone was like
It
super
felt,
excited.
yeah, I
But we
remember.
met actually at, I think it was Battle Cancer, at Olympia. And I think that might have been 2019 as well. I was just wandering around as I do. And I think we bumped into each other properly. Same thing,
Yeah.
energy. You're like, hi, Tyler, nice to meet you. And we just kind of hit it off from there.
Yeah, but also what I really loved, and I know you said, you've gone on that journey of like you were wearing the leg, and now you don't. I always would just see you with like hopping around,
Yeah.
no crutches.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, just...
sometimes you would, but like you would. I don't think I've ever seen you in a wheelchair.
That's
Maybe
been
once
more
or
latter
twice.
years, like
Yeah,
post-lockdown.
yeah,
Before it was all crutches, hopping around.
yeah.
And hopping is like my natural state. So even as a kid, I'd wear the prosthetic leg all day at school, just kind of deal with the uncomfortableness, deal with the pain. As soon as I got home, I would just throw it in the corner and just hop around. And that was always my natural state. So when people see me like working out, training in events, they're like, oh my God, your balance is amazing. I'm like, I've had no choice. Like, this is me normally in my natural state. Yeah.
It's
So,
mad though that you felt like that you couldn't be in that natural state at school.
nah,
And you felt the pressure that
pressure,
you
yeah.
had to fit in.
Because back
It's
then,
not.
disability wasn't as widely accepted or celebrated. I
Mm.
think a big public perception like shift came after the 2012 Olympics. So I think from then things started to change a little bit more. But prior to that, it was literally, I mean, a lot of it was kind of ego and pride, like just wanting to fit in, be normal, and not stand out. So yeah, as a kid, I literally just wore it all the time.
Yeah. Do you feel like fitness gave you the confidence to do that, or is that something that, like,
Like,
what was the shift for you? I know you said you just decided one day it's uncomfortable. I'm actually just going to be more authentically Tyler.
mm.
But what was it that has given you the confidence now in later life?
So yeah, this shift came a little bit before the sporting thing, the fitness thing. I it was like mid 2000s. I was in my mid 20s, and I actually had a girlfriend at the time who she kind of see me wearing the leg, like obviously not enjoying it. And she's like, "What? You know, why do you wear it if it's so uncomfortable?" And it's like a light bulb moment. I was like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, like why am I?" The fact is, a lot of the time I'd wear the leg again, like I said, to be normal, appeal to the
To
opposite
fit
sex,
in,
like all those
yeah,
kind of things.
like,
Like
you
I
think
wasn't the most comfortable and confident in like approaching women, and had girlfriends and whatnot. But at that moment, I had a partner, a long term partner. I was like, "Oh, who do I need to impress anymore? Let me just
mm,
be comfortable and be who I want to be." So then, yeah, started to wear the leg a bit less, but then that brought another challenge of then being obviously seen as a person with a disability. So before, I just had a limp and people are like, "Oh, you hurt your leg playing football." I was like, "No, I've got a prosthetic leg." Then, that
yeah.
conversation would go somewhere else. But now, like visibly from afar, you could see I've got a missing leg, the staring, all of that kind of stuff. And then what I did notice though is that people's attitude towards me changed. So people would be like, "Oh, can I open the door for you? Do you want to sit down?" And I never had that kind of treatment before. So it's quite interesting to see that transition and kind of live through it. But at the end of the day, I was more comfortable with the leg off. Didn't have like the aches and the pains and the rubbing and the discomfort. So I felt better being in my natural state. And that was probably that overweighed the kind of the stares and the looks.
Mm.
So over after time, I was just like, yeah, cool, this is me. I'm getting around, living my life, was working, all the rest of it. But still fitness wasn't on the agenda, wasn't really, doing anything to improve my physical health. I was in uni. So, my uni lifestyle was terrible, eating
As
rubbish food.
as it
As it is,
is
we
for
all know.
most of us.
So yeah, staying up late, going out, eating rubbish food. And then yeah, wheelchair basketball landed pretty much in my lap. Was the first time I actually got to meet other people with disabilities, like a wider community. Because up until that point, it was pretty much me on my own. I was the only person I knew as a kid with a disability, going into my early 20s, didn't have that, support network or anyone to relate to. Found basketball. I was like, oh, okay, this doable for a wide variety of impairments and people with different conditions from different backgrounds. And yeah, I just literally loved it, took to it, and just dedicated myself to it.
It's amazing what a sense of feeling like a community can
Yes.
do
Yeah.
for your confidence, your just feeling like you belong, right? So what was then your so you were an athlete, right? So then what? Then what has led you to being where you are
Yeah.
right now, like in this seat with me?
Yeah. So again, basketball became pretty much my identity. I'd never done any physical activity up until that point. So we, used to train a couple times a week, would have matches on the weekend. So this was like I found my thing. Just, you know, fully dedicated myself to it. But what the real turning point was, got drafted into the Great Britain men's team in their development program in 2008. So just after the Beijing Paralympic cycle, got brought into the program. And obviously then you're training at, the highest of levels. You're with the best athletes in the UK. And from then, I started to take things a little bit more seriously in terms of, training, nutrition, recovery. Went to Germany to play semi-professionally out there, which is like a big life step, a big life change. Yeah.
Sick.
All of our main players in the UK, all of the British national team, the top 16 will play abroad because the standard's just a lot better abroad. So people will go to Spain or go to Italy, to Germany, France to some degree, like Turkey. And over there, because basketball's like the second popular sport after football, people get, sponsorships, get good funding. You can
Yeah.
earn a decent wage and have a good quality of life in these countries. So I'm like, if I want to be up there with them, I've got to do what they're doing. So yeah, took myself off to Germany, spent 3 years playing out there. And I think in that time of just, training 5 times a week, eating properly, having a high level game every weekend, that increase in activity just suddenly transformed me in terms of physical, but also mental as
That's
well.
amazing.
So yeah, that was a really good experience. 2015, made the call to come back to the UK. Also made the call to not carry on with international basketball. But during that period, obviously seeing what fitness has done for me, I'm like, oh, I can't go back to my office job.
Yeah.
I can't go back
Yeah.
to admin and doing all of that again. So that's when I started looking at, okay, what can I do? How can I like further my development and career in this? And yeah, did my PT qualification, did my fitness instructor, I did that like diploma. And yeah, within 8 weeks, qualified and was working in gyms and just thrown into the deep end. And you just wade through, figure your way, and here we are.
Yeah, it's amazing that movement, like going on your own journey of fitness and movement has then led you to want to share that with others
Yeah,
because you've really understood how that has improved your quality of life
yeah,
and your like you touched on your mental health as well,
hmm,
like how it helped you mentally.
yeah.
What's been the biggest thing with fitness that's kind of helped in that area of your life? Like, is there a particular journey that you've been on? Like, it must have been quite. I don't know. I guess, and I think a lot of athletes go through this, like that identity shift
Hmm.
when you're doing sport day in day out.
That's who you
You're playing a
become.
game or you're
Yeah.
you're racing. That is who you become. That becomes your identity. And I suppose you probably did just think, I'm a basketballer,
Hmm.
like, that's me.
Hmm.
So then what was that like then deciding that you weren't then gonna do that full time
Yeah,
anymore?
it was a tough call. Like my journey into the squads, it was quite a challenging one in the sense that I started basketball quite late. So for you to get, into the squads, kind of establish yourself. Most of the guys at that time have been playing since they were like 8, 9, 10.
Really?
So they've gone through the junior program. They've, established themselves in the under 18s, under 21s. I've come in at 23. So
Wow, you did pretty well to come in as an adult, like, when you're against all of these other guys
yeah,
who've been
yeah, yeah. I mean,
in
not
it
taking
since they were
anything
kids.
away. Obviously, I was skilled and talented enough to be brought into the program.
Of course.
But then to actually break into the top 16, that was, a pretty tough gig. Spent, a good 5, 6 years within the program, got to travel around and play with the team and, training camps, all that kind of stuff. And then the Germany trip, that, again, was a big eye opener. Really big, really good experience. Met some great people, got to travel around again, playing at high standards. But then when I've come back, I was like, right, I've started to train a lot better, be a little bit more diligent with, what I'm doing, how I'm eating, recovery, that kind of thing. And it just made sense to then look into it a bit more and then make it a career, as it were.
Mm.
But what I think really changed for me in terms of mindset was what fitness did for me in terms of like resilience and like building confidence. As I said, wasn't really that confident as a kid, just aware of my limitations. But through training, through fitness, through workouts, and then progressing on to like joining these functional fitness events where I thought, I'm not going to be able to do that. That's too hard. I don't have a place in these kind of places. Everyone looks super jacked and athletic and all these things. A lot of it's built on
You are also super jacked and athletic though.
try.
Let's face it,
I'm
Tyler.
getting there. And that's just through like persistence, perseverance, putting myself in these uncomfortable situations and ultimately proving to myself that like I am capable of doing it.
Mm.
And I think what's been interesting in my journey is that other people have seen me doing this and have been on the journey with me and seen like how I've changed, how I've
Your
progressed.
progression, yeah.
And it's like they've hopefully like taken some motivation from that too, where it's like, if he can do it, like I can do it as well.
Totally. Like you're there paving the way for others that
Yes.
may be in the same position as you.
On that
Um,
point,
go
sorry to
on.
cut you off. That's really interesting because essentially what I'm doing now, and I've said it a lot of times, is I'm almost trying to be the person I wish I had in my
Mm,
life when I was younger. Like I never saw anybody doing fitness, doing sports, doing cool stuff who looked just like me. So I think now I'm just like, just show up like anywhere
you
and
never
everywhere.
know.
You
Yeah.
never know who's watching.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And like if I don't show up, then no one will see or, take some positivity from what I'm doing.
Yeah. And so I've seen kind of your journey I've over the last few years, and you've been
Mm.
doing a lot of work with different brands, specifically Gymshark of late. And talk to us about what you were doing with them. Because you've recently left, right?
Yes, so yeah, part
But
of
you were
those.
doing like an adaptive, you did
An
like some
adaptive
adaptive
event there.
games
Yeah, yeah,
and all of that, which is awesome because again, like you say, were that were did was there the space for that when you were
yeah. Mm,
10 years ago,
yeah.
and now I'm starting to see it more and more.
Yes.
So yeah, talk to
Talk
us
about that.
about
Yeah, so it's
that.
really cool. I had the opportunity to work at Gymshark. Um, I got brought there as a fitness coach. There was a team of us there. I'm the only one with a disability. So for me, I kind of took that as that was my kind of championing cause. I'm like, I'm the one promoting inclusivity, representation. I want to do an event that essentially celebrates
Mm,
my community and bring them into the store, into the ecosystem. But likewise, getting our existing gym community to meet these people and just see how we adapt and how we kind of attack different problems. So a lot of it was an awareness piece, but it was also just a chance to like merge two communities together.
mm.
And the first one had like 8 people turn up. Second one had like 16. Third one grows in numbers. And it ended up being like the highlight of a lot of people's like kind of schedule. They
That's
come to it
awesome.
and they'd be like, when's the next one? When's the next one? And it was just awesome seeing some people that I knew from, basketball, from the adaptive CrossFit space, but then a lot of newcomers who I hadn't met before, who, might be messaging me on Instagram, like, oh, I want to get into fitness, but I'm a bit apprehensive. I'm not sure how to approach it. They would come to these events, like have a great time, meet different people. And what I ended up seeing over time was like a lot of these people then ended up signing up to their first high rocks in the adaptive
Mm.
divisions. And for me, that's exactly what I wanted to do with that platform. And it grew to a point like it almost like outgrew itself. We started thinking we've got to take it on tour and start doing all these other things. But what it was, like, I needed to have an event, or I wanted to put on an event that celebrated my community, but also made people aware of how awesome like we actually are.
Mm.
And it went really well. And I got to work with different people, got to introduce them to, our existing community, who then they made friends, they made connections. And I'd always say at every event, please don't wait for these to like come back and train with us. And we ended up having people come in throughout the week to all
Love
of
it.
our sessions. And it was really cool. Like, I'm really proud of what happened there.
Yeah, and you've left. Does that mean those have stopped, or are you going to carry on?
No, I'm carrying them on.
Yes,
So this is my thing. I
love it.
hosted it there. It's my thing. And we've got some talks with some different locations. CrossFit Putney's one of them. So keep your eyes out. Little plug, quick plug.
Yeah.
So that's something that's coming up hopefully soon in August. We're just in talks to get that going as well. And yeah, I'm looking to talk to different gyms, different locations. So yeah, if you're interested, give me a shout.
And who's welcome? Everyone?
Everyone.
Yeah. So whether you're an adaptive athlete
Or
or
not.
not, just
Yeah.
come down, support, and
And
yeah,
just
just get involved.
has a vibe. Like
Yeah,
my whole thing about it was it wasn't a competition, because sometimes that also acts as a bit of a barrier,
sure.
an obstacle. People are like, oh, I don't want to let anyone down. And weirdly, like I still have that thought sometimes when I join, if I do like turf games and we're part of a team, it's almost like we're probably not going to come first, because if there's certain elements of, running, or the bastard worm, I hate the worm.
Yeah.
The worm work.
I mean, I can't imagine. So, do you do a single leg
I
squat
have to
when you do the
do,
worm?
yeah, if
Oh
it's one
my
of those
God.
workouts where, you get to chop and change, I'll almost like do as little as possible, and like I'll contribute on the burpees or
That's
something where I'm
me.
just like,
That's me.
but there'll be a time where somebody's flagging, I've got to jump in. And yeah, it'll be like, how many squats, and then you've got the thrusters over the shoulder. Like all of that kills me, because I've got to balance and stabilize whilst doing all the
Can't
movements.
even imagine.
Yeah, so I'd always have that thought of like, I might be letting the side down. But really and truly, I'm there giving it my best, as are most people. Not everyone wants to, come first, second, third. It's literally just there for vibes and community, like you said.
Yeah.
So a lot of these people came to Adaptive Throwdown. Really, like it wasn't, again, not competition. Mixed teams of 4. One of the athletes at minimum has to have a disability. So you can't have like a team of
Course.
able bodies. And then, yeah. So it was, again, just getting people to mix, to integrate, to work together. If, some of the seated athletes had trouble with, ground to shoulders with the D balls, people could help them do it. And it was just nice to look around and see people just mixing, mingling, laughing, smiling, sweating as well.
Yeah.
But it was a good vibe. So yeah, definitely carrying that on. Got some dates in the books.
Amazing.
And yeah, hopefully you can come down as well.
Oh, I would
Come down
love
as well.
to. I would love to come down. It also is just amazing that you're empowering people to be able to do things that maybe they thought I would never be able to do that. And then you're like, actually, come down, we'll show you, or you can do it.
Yeah.
Or there'll be a way to do it. It might not be the most conventional in terms of an able-bodied person, but
Mhm.
you will have your version of the
Yeah,
movement.
100%.
So I love that you're going to carry that on. So you've recently gone through a bit of a pivot. Again, we've spoken previously outside of this room of what it's like when you're going through life and you have to pivot through different circumstances.
Yeah, yeah.
And lockdown was a big one. I think for a lot of people, we kind of all got locked down. We all had to think, right, what's going on next?
What's next?
And
Yeah.
what was that like for you? Because you were previously working on the gym floor as a PT,
Mhm.
to then working at home without your community. So talk me through what went on for you, and how you got out of it, and then how you then pivoted.
To where I am now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had an unfortunate accident in lockdown. People that know me from way back know. Was trying to learn how to do front flips and back flips. It's something I've always wanted to do as a person with one leg. And I've seen people do it. Like, that's the great thing about socials. You can just find people like you like that. And there's a guy from Brazil who's a break dancer, got one leg, doing flips, doing all kinds of crazy stuff. So I'm like, right, if he can, I'm gonna do it as well. So all through time, I'm, doing flips, backwards, frontwards, like landing some, missing a lot. This one time I did one rep too many, gone to do the spin and heard my ankle pop. And it was so loud, my missus heard it inside the house. She's come out, she's like, "Are you all right?" And I'm just like writhing on the trampoline, effing and blinding. It was bad. So then went to hospital, had an x-ray, done ligaments on both sides of my ankle, which as a guy with one leg, that was pretty rough
Yeah.
because I could do everything prior. And we talked about identity earlier. Like, I'm the guy who can do all these amazing things in fitness and very independent and doesn't rely on anyone. To have that taken away, that was a very big, I'll say big, it's quite a low point in life where I've suddenly got to rely on my family, rely on even like my kids to help me do certain things. Basic things I took for granted, just like moving around, going up and down stairs, getting to and from the toilet, like all those things became really hard. And I think that was one of the lowest and most challenging periods of life where, everyone's like, like lockdown's hard enough. Like, you've gone and made it even harder by doing this thing voluntarily. And yeah, it was rough still showing up for clients. Like, got my foot elevated on the desk while they're on their screen doing their workout. So it was a pretty rough period. But just like anything, you kind of have to see the positives and the good in each scenario. So I think my saving grace was actually the wheelchair, which I've had for quite a while, but there was a bit of an ego thing, a pride thing of I don't want to sit in a wheelchair. I think people who use wheelchairs, like in my community, can attest to this, where if you're in a chair, you're generally lower than everyone else. So you're not in everyone's
Mm.
eye line. People are like looking down at you. You've got to look up to engage in conversation. And call it a bit of pride and ego. For me, I was like, oh, don't need to use a chair. Never gonna use a chair. When that happened to my ankle, like I have to use this
You had
chair
no
to get
choice.
around. Yeah. But it ended up being a saving grace for me because then we were generally started to be allowed out for the 1 hour of exercise that we could do. And I would then use the chair to get my activity in. So I'd use it for like steady state cardio. I'd go out and just push for 1K, push to two, which was hard at the time, but then kind of the mindset we have as fitness people, like, oh, let's push a bit more, push a bit more.
Mhm.
And then started doing 5Ks, even pushed to 10. And in that was my kind of space to get away, to just feel like I was moving again. And again, built more resilience in me and just helped me understand that this is my situation now. Can't just sit at home and just be negative and wallow in pity. I've got to get up and do something. And that's essentially what the chair helped me do.
Mm. It's, I mean, first of all, having one leg already, and I know you were born with one leg,
Mm.
but you're already facing difficulties when everyone else is walking around on two legs. So
Yeah.
there's already that kind of hardship in a way,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So to then go to then 0 legs,
Yes.
essentially, because then you're in your chair like that. Like, what was that like for you mentally? And like, I know we've kind of touched on it, but like,
It was rough.
when did you, yeah, when did you kind of realize like, I'm not just having a bad week?
Mm. I think it was quite early, probably like the first week or so, where again, things that I just did without thinking, I couldn't do anymore. And I've kind of sat down and thought, this is going to be a pretty long and tough road to recovery.
Mm,
But again, just trying to stay positive where possible. You know, we kind of preach positivity and mindset and perspective, but it was rough for like a good couple of months. You know, I don't want to say that I became an alcoholic, but definitely would like drink a lot more.
yeah, I mean, I think a lot of us did in lockdown.
Yeah, I think you know, we go to like Costco. Don't know why we started going Costco. We never really shopped at Costco, but there's one near us. And if you've been to Costco, you know, everything comes in like just big
Yeah,
sizes.
so you'd be getting,
We would just be like stocking up on stuff. And I think when you're faced with like difficult circumstances or stress, it was also quite eye-opening because a lot of clients I worked with, you know, you're working on behaviors and psychology, especially around food. So, you know, people, they might stress eat, they might not eat when they're stressed. I definitely was the former. Like I'd, you know, be snacking a lot and having the odd drink. I say the odd drink is quite frequent. I remember like a client bought me a bottle of rum a few Christmases before, and that bottle lasted the whole year. Got a bottle of rum in lockdown. It was it was gone in like 4 or 5 days.
wow,
So this
wow.
at the time it was like, this is not a good space to be in. I've got to try and do something different to kind of pull myself out of it. And I think what started to help over time was like getting a bit of, you know, feeling back in the leg, being able to stand. When I was doing sessions with clients, they're doing their workout and I'm standing doing calf raises,
Yeah,
just like
yeah.
tiptoeing up and down 30 times. And I think that gradually started to kind of pull me out of that space a little
Mm,
bit. The fact I could, you know, do 5Ks and 10Ks, not with ease, but easier than I found them. Again, I'm like, this is a milestone. This is something I've got to celebrate. Where back in the day, 1K used to kill me. Push to 2, push to 5, push to 10. And I think, right, I'm helping my cardio by doing this. So that's something I can tick off. Then the gym's open, started getting back into training really gradually, doing a lot of obviously the rehab stuff. And I think again that kind of helped pull me out of that hole. But one thing that was actually quite big, which I nearly forgot, was I managed to come across a mentor, a guy called Paul Mort, who is doing like a course for men who, you know, businessmen, family men. A lot of it was around mindset. And I'd see like his videos pop up on Instagram, and he was somebody who, you know, I used to follow James Smith a lot then, and James Smith always accredited him for like his success in like the email marketing space. So I'd seen him at an event in 2018. Come 2020, all of a sudden, like things start cropping up on Facebook and Instagram as they do. And yeah, sign up to this mentorship, which, you know, group of guys, all in different scenarios, but essentially wanting to better themselves and be better for their families and be better businessmen. And I learned a lot of tools from that course, just in terms of like focus and attention and changing your state, things like that.
mm,
And during that time, that helped, you know, if I found myself feeling a bit low, could just like, you know, journal. Never really been good at meditation, even now to this
mm.
day. But doing like those kind of mindfulness practices of,
Yeah.
you know, I'm feeling a little bit low. What can I do to change my state and bring me out of that? And I think in the latter ends of lockdown, when things started to kind of open up, that's what was quite big for me and like helped me have a better mindset and a better outlook and generally just kind of bring me to a better place.
Mm. And I think it, we will all have gone through something that's stopped us from moving in the way that we used to, right? Whether, we're all on a different journey. And I think you've hit the nail on the head there. It's like just doing what you can,
Yeah.
and small little things will eventually get you out of it.
Hmm.
Did you feel like you could ask for help from anyone? Like, we've spoken about asking for help physically,
Mm.
can you open the door for me? Can you do, but what about mentally? Could you ask, I don't know, to talk to
To talk to
somebody
someone.
about it?
At the time, I knew, you know, friends, family, if you speak to people, if you, say, look, I'm having a problem, can we have a chat about it? Like, that support network is there. But I think a lot of times people, I don't want to say just men, like probably women to some degree as well. I know women are better at talking and explaining feelings, but men, I'll speak for men, like we're not generally that type.
Mm.
Things are definitely changing now for the better, but at the time, you kind of just become more introverted and you don't want to burden everyone else with your problems and your struggles and kind of internalize everything. And it got to a stage where I was, definitely like irate more. Was kind of ratty. I was like snapping at the kids.
I'm
Like
not surprised.
any little thing they would do would like just get me mad and not like crazy shouting the house down, but just kind of like just snappy and constantly worrying about the future and what's next. And I'm not in the, I'm not meant to be where I'm meant to be and all these kind of things. And it started to affect like my sleep and just the way I was functioning. Kind of going to sleep at 9, 10, just waking up 12 o'clock, just bolt upright, can't get to sleep. And knowing that I've got to be at the gym, I've got to wake up at 5 for a session the next day. All of that was like
And then
starting
it
to play.
starts.
And what do they call like sleep anxiety or something,
Yeah.
where you start getting to that time where bedtime's coming, but you're starting to worry, like, I'm not going to get
Yeah,
enough
yeah,
sleep.
and that then feeds into you not
Ah,
sleeping,
yeah.
and then when you wake up, you're like, "I need to get back to sleep," and
Hmm.
then, of course, you can't get back
Yeah.
because you're still thinking
Think
about
about it.
sleeping.
Yeah. So that was a rough period. And funnily enough, in that time, had done a couple of like panel talks and stuff on mental health. And when I got the call up, even I didn't know why I'd got the call because I'm not somebody online who's like, mental health advocate. I'm not like openly talking about this stuff, but an opportunity came up. It was actually funnily Gymshark, funny enough. They had a collaboration with um, the Lions Barbershop, which is like a charity for men. A lot of men go to the barbers, have cuts, open up a lot to their barber, and a lot of preventative measures could happen within that discussion. So yeah, I got called up to have this panel talk, and I'm talking about my journey and my struggle and quite recent struggle. It was in collaboration with Calm. So there was one time where again struggling to sleep, again woken up at midnight, just bolt upright, stressing, stressing, stressing. I was like, I've got to do something about this. I have to speak to someone. Ended up just like leaving the house, getting in the car, and just going for a drive at like 2 in the morning.
Wow.
Not with any real like dangerous thoughts, but I'm like, I've just got to
Do
move and
something.
do something. Yeah, watching TV doesn't help, movies don't help. So I've got in the car and just driven. I was like, I'm just gonna call someone. So I ended up calling Calm, speaking to a nice lady on the phone. She's asking things like, who do you need to show up for? Who's counting on you? What good things are happening in life at the minute? And it was a nice little kind of focus shift. Went back home, like eventually got to sleep, carried on a little bit more. Then I thought, well, if I've done this, let me try and do a little bit more. So I've gone and reached out to Brent Talking Therapies just to continue this, journey of self development and awareness. Had a few sessions, arguably didn't quite work out, like I didn't quite click with the guy. So after 3 or 4 sessions, we just kind of moved on. But I think having done the mentorship or still doing it at the time, I was like, actually, I've got enough tools here. Like the guy was pretty much telling me the same things. I was like, let me just go at it by myself,
Mm.
carry on. And yeah, over time, started to feel a lot more positive. Um, Perspective changed. Things started to get better, and eventually, just yeah, found myself in a better place again. And I think you have to go through the real like shitty parts. So you got to go through the trenches in order to really appreciate when things are good.
Oh, yeah.
Because the low lows and the high highs, but you have to see both in order to appreciate. And even when you're going through a rough patch, you keep telling yourself it's not going to last. What are the lessons I can learn in this time, in this period? And then when you do eventually come out and things are good, you're like, oh, do you remember when like that was going
Mm,
on? And you appreciate more when things, even not so much when we're going well, when just there's no drama, like there's nothing happening,
yeah,
everything's just kind of ticking along. That's great. Like that's a win.
yeah. And because that is it. Like life is never going to be all the up high
No,
all the time.
no.
I think when I was in one of my lowest moments, I think somebody said something really similar to me that
Mm.
just ride the wave, just ride it. And you will, the wave will end. It
Yeah,
always
always
does.
does.
The wave will always end, and you'll then catch another wave, and it will be a different one. Um, and that is just life. That analogy of like constantly catching these different waves.
Ebbs and flows, waves, ups and
Yeah.
downs.
Yeah, yeah. And inevitably, some shit will happen again in
Yes.
both our lives and we'll probably be down there. But because, you've got the tools, because you've got yourself out of the trenches, as you say,
Yeah,
and you're back out. And I think it's like life experience. And I wouldn't have it any other way, to be honest,
this is it.
because you learn in those moments.
And those periods make you stronger as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah. You're amazing. And it's been so cool to see your journey. Like, and also, I would never have known that you were going through that at the
Mm,
time. When I'd see you at comms and see you about, you always seemed so happy
upbeat.
and upbeat.
I think that goes for a lot of us in
It
the fitness
does.
scene where
Yeah, we're
we've
always switched on,
switched on at the event, sending it, like
sending it.
sending it, just burying ourselves in the workout, the WOD, whatever it is. But we're all going through like rough stuff.
Mm-mm.
And I think you just put on a brave face and smile and, socialize and all that stuff. But deep down, I know a lot of events during that period, I guess between like 2021 and 23, like I was still struggling with stuff.
Mm.
And this is me like showing up to do my first ever high rocks and all of these different things and turf games and battle cancers, like all of these events. Obviously, love doing them, love seeing the community. It was almost like a bit of an escape from
Yeah.
what things I was going through. But yeah, I think a lot of us in the fitness scene will just bury ourselves in training, in workouts, in events. But deep down, yeah, we're all battling different things.
Yeah, like you never know what someone really is going through until you really have a deep conversation with them. Um, Tyler, I'm going to ask you two more questions.
Mm.
What is something that you're, after everything that you have been through in your life, what is something that you're truly grateful for in this moment?
That's a good question. I am truly grateful for. I'm so grateful for my health. Um,
It's the simple things, but it's not. It's probably the most
it's
important,
the most
right?
important, yeah. And it's so easy to take for granted and to kind of overlook just the how amazing our bodies actually are and like the things they can actually do given you give it the opportunity to. And I again like going through the period of not being able to move and not being able to exercise with the injury to then be able to come back. Sometimes I'll like catch myself in a workout. It's like, shit, man, like I can do this again. And there's a period where I thought, this might be so severe, I might not be able to walk again. So regularly, I'm always, grateful. If I'm moving around with no pain, I often get quite like chronic back pain as well. Like lower back's always flaring up. If I'm moving around and like, do something simple like get out of the car, it's not aching. I'm like, this is great.
Yeah.
Thank you so much
Thank you for not
for not
for not being,
messing with me.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So that definitely my health, but also my family as well.
Yeah.
So grateful for like the dynamic I've got at home, the support I get from my missus, two awesome kids who like look up to me and see me progressing through this fitness journey, and it's motivating them to be fit and healthy and prioritize their fitness.
Mm.
So yeah, those are the two things that come to mind.
It's it is amazing that actually like those are like such like basic things. It's like nothing, no shiny new job or
Mm,
these other things that we get distracted by, like our health and the love that we have for our
yeah,
family. And I think when we're going through those tough times where we're thinking, oh, I can't get out of whatever depression that I'm in or whatever, actually just look within and look at those things.
yeah,
Have I got my health? do I have the people that love me?
Yeah.
And that is ultimately probably the most, I would say as well, the most important
Important things,
thing
yeah.
in life. If there was something that you could give some advice to anyone listening who might be going through a tough patch like you've been through, what would it be?
I think we've touched on it already. Just ride the wave,
Mm,
go through it, just keep pushing through. It won't last forever. It's only a temporary moment of discomfort, but in discomfort comes growth. I don't know, it might seem, sound a bit cliche. People are going through some real tough times. But again, tough times don't last. I don't want to say tough people do. That's, again, a bit
yeah.
cliche, but it's doing things to understand and realize, this won't last forever. What you can focus on, what's positive in this moment, what, lessons can you learn? If you can like focus on things that are going well and things that you appreciate, there'll be more things to appreciate.
Mm,
That's something I, tell clients and people I speak to in terms of like mindset is the more things you appreciate, the more things you get to appreciate. If you focus on what's not going well, how things are, just, you're this kind of like victim, things are happening to me.
yeah, yeah.
You will then start to manifest more of those things
I
because
couldn't agree more.
it's where your focus goes, your
Yeah.
energy
Your
flows.
subconscious
Yeah,
starts believing all of these
all
other
of these
negative
things. Yeah.
thoughts.
So if you can focus on positives, on things that are going good, you will genuinely realize, oh, there is actually a lot to be grateful for. And it won't fix the issue instantly, but it can just help change your state a little bit and change your perspective. And then in time, like time's a healer, that situation hopefully kind of dissipates. And then you realize, okay, I'm in a better space, things are looking up. And like you said, there'll be waves, something else might happen, but the more challenging things you go through, the stronger you become, the more resilience you attain,
Mm.
and you become a stronger individual. So, I mean, I'm glad for the setbacks and the obstacles and all of these things I've been through because it's essentially shaped who I am, the journey I've been on, and why I'm here today.
And you are an amazing human being. Thank you so much,
Thank you
Tyler.
very much.
We'll see you at your next
The
event.
next event, yeah,
Yeah.
and you too.
Big love.
Awesome talk. Cheers, Nay.
Cut.